Okay, here we go. Muting.
Meeting to order. First up, roll call.
Counselor Mars?
Present.
Counselor Hickory?
Present.
Mayor Levine?
Present.
Counselor Levine? Counselor Thompson?
Present.
Thank you.
Now, next up, pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mayor Levine, we have in addition to the agenda,
We have one add-on today. Attorney Brian Lindsay to do some work for us at the East Itasca Joint Powers Board for the city of Keewatin. Need a resolution for that later.
a motion.
All right, next up, consent agenda. Do you have any discussion on that?
I have a change that I'd like to add on to the minutes, and I believe it's on page 2. It's when we lost a little bit on it, talked to Beth about it already. But Councilor Levine requested to have Commissioner Rukavina attend the council meeting if she could. And then she also wanted some sort of guarantee that they would be helping with the old bank project. So I just would like that put in there. It got missed because of the, got cut out, but that's all that I have.
I'll make a motion. I'll support.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. First up, under appearances, we have Sarah Carling here today. For CETA.
Alright, I don't know what I'm talking about, I'm just kidding. I'm gonna hand out a couple of these. Billy was making a couple of copies, so there might be extras here in a minute. If you want to hang on to that too.
Yeah.
Alright, so a couple things. I was asked to talk about the Spire building a little bit, and with regards to that, I've had a couple of conversations with IRRR, and conversations I've had with them to date have been, if you wanna keep the building, you can, but if you wanna demo it, it has to be for something that's going to create tax revenue base. So if it were to be used as a city building, and you demo it, you'd have to show where tax is gonna be incurred with that. Or how it creates additional jobs, that's usually another thing that they're looking for. So if you want to keep, like purchase the building, keep it and utilize it for an idea, like I think Susan, you had the idea of putting the library and historical building over in that building. I think it's a great idea. My recommendation to the city council would be to have your new engineering company do an appraisal and true like deep dive of the building to know what you're getting into prior to actually purchasing something. Reason I say that is, though IRRR has already provided funding to demo the school, the school's gonna be out for a while before it gets demoed, so there could be inflation costs in that, which could be unexpected costs back to the city, even though a large majority of it's covered based on the quotes that they've provided today. You don't know if you're gonna have any additional costs that we'd have to either find grant funding for, or the city would have to, be on the hook for. And then on top of it, it's always my practice when the city is looking at purchasing a building to know what you're getting into prior to purchasing it, because it can be extremely expensive. It looks really great on paper, looking like you can buy it for, less than $100. But there could be a really big project there that maybe you just don't have the financial means for, and sometimes it's difficult to find infrastructure funds, as we know with the fire hall and all those kinds of things. So you guys have a lot of projects out there, and I would just recommend paying. I think the engineering company came back with a estimated cost proposal. You can give us this time to. I think they came back with an estimated cost proposal of approximately $10,000. I think that's really fair. And it's really informative for anybody that takes on that building. Plus, if you want for probably an extra couple $1,000, not any more than I'd say $5,000, they can look at the library and the city hall so that you guys, while they're already on site with all the different engineering firms or folks, they'll be able to assess all of the buildings. So you would have a really good comprehensive plan of how you could attack all of the buildings that the city would then own. We could create a plan around that and then move that forward. But I just wouldn't recommend buying a building without having the knowledge before you get into it. So I spoke with your engineer. She gave us that quick estimate, and I think that that's probably your best route to make sure that you're not getting into something that's really gonna be costly in the long run. So then the next thing I wanted to talk about, and this is gonna get brought up just because, one, the more projects I work on, the more knowledgeable I get. And so what I did is I provided you with 2 different companies. There's actually 3 different options in this. There's a 4th option with the other company that's at the back end. That's also a flushable system. So I just want you to know both of these companies have a flushable option. You don't actually have to use engineering for this. I will give you an idea. Itasca County's Bass Lake campground north of, well, it's on Highway 1 by Togo area, needed to put in some bathrooms. The bathroom that they put in for their campground cost them about $42,000. You'll see the estimate in here. The reason I'm bringing this up is because the $450,000 estimate that you received just is really, really steep. And even if you have grant funding for that, in my, again, personal opinion, from the amount of work that I do and the partnerships that I have with funding agencies, I just feel that that is a misallocation of grant funding where we could leverage it in several other projects that we have identified for the community and stretch those dollars out further. So I'm asking that the council consider looking into something like this where it's truly, I think one of these images, this last page here, it literally says, from the time it's delivered, so long as you have it excavated, it can be usable within 5 hours. So these are drop on site, easy to use. Most expensive one that I've seen that has a flushable toilet running water is about $100,000. It's a significantly less cost-effective way. I mean, my biggest concern with that site is you don't own the property and it's used for 3.5 months out of the year. So to try and explain that to grant funders, it's a really tough sell. But this is a much easier sell to those grant funders to see that their money is being used in a responsible way so that they'll continue to see the value of the projects. So those are my 2 recommendations today. Do you guys have any questions or comments?
Thank you, Sarah.
Mayor, I have a couple
Huh?
questions. Okay, just starting with the bank, I guess. I'm on the same page as you, Sarah, with the building.
Yeah.
Until we know exactly what it's going to entail, whether we're gonna have to put money into it with a roof, furnace, or anything. I don't want to be rushed into this decision, and I feel like Spire's rushing us.
Mhm.
Like, either decide you're getting it or whatever. And until we talk with IRRR, I guess I'm not comfortable on that end either. So that's just my opinion on that.
Do they have a buyer? I mean, if they did, hey, that's great. But I
No,
No.
mean, they could put it up for sale, and at the end of the day, that could sit there for 2
Right.
years for sale, you know?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think we had already voted on it once to have them demolish, and then they were going to give us the property.
Mhm.
But I get the historic value from some of the other counselors and the building being in the city and whatnot, but
Right.
it's just a tough call, and I don't want to rush into anything. And like you say, with the school, we need to get that situated. I know they did get the money for it, so
Right.
right now I think the plan is they're going to be taking this school down first. So
Right.
um,
And the only reason I bring up that there could be additional costs is because when is the school, the new school gonna be open? Isn't it another year?
25.
So within another year, those costs of demo that were given,
Right.
what, 10 months ago, could go up. And then that gap, I don't, we would have to talk to IRRR, but I don't see them putting any more money into it. So it's finding
Right.
additional funds, or the city will have to then find those additional gap funds to demo
Or
the
the
school.
school.
Right, or the school,
Fine,
yes,
yeah.
correct, yes.
So that's my take on the bank, but yeah, until we talk to IRRR, and like I said, that would be, thanks for the reminder on the minutes. I forgot that I was even talked about that. So, and then on the project out at O'Brien, just ask the attorney, how does that work if we've already kind of awarded this? I know we had some issues and they were revamping the project and it was at 400, say, and then they said, well, we'll cut it back. And then once they cut it back, it went down. But then once we got more money, it went back up. So I'm confused as to how they can do that. And did we have a signed contract with them yet? I know we've had DSTW, we paid them, but I don't know where we're at with Bogalis and how that's all going together. And if we can actually get out of something, if we are bound.
We're not gonna call it getting out of anything. So the question is, do we have a valid enforceable contract that's ready to be performed? I'm not sure what stage we're at, and if the project substantially changed, that may trigger some other provisions. I mean, essentially, if the project changed substantially enough, it may require that it go back and be rebid under public contracting law. Because then any contractor who may have bid said, well, I would have bid differently had I known what the actual project was gonna be. So anytime you have a substantial change in a project, you always run the potential that it could trigger some new bidding requirements. And so I would need a little bit of extra information about exactly how the change in the scope of the project went to give that opinion. But if we're talking significant dollar amounts, you're probably looking at something that was a significant change. So then the question becomes, was there ink on a contract before those significant changes happened? And if that's the case, was the proper change order process followed? So there's quite a few questions open,
Yeah.
but I think, Counselor, to your point, there's quite a few questions open.
Okay.
we bid it out. I think Bogalis was a lot better. We were short money.
Okay.
Then IRRB came in and said that they would help us make up the difference, and we were appropriated more funds, okay? Then we were supposed to have this done last year, and it got carried over to this year. But we've already spent, I think we're into it for quite a bit of engineering fees, architectural fees, and whatever benchmark. I think we paid some money already on that, haven't we?
Benchmark.
Yeah.
and
Engineering fees.
DSGW or
Yes.
whatever. So we already had some money paid to these people, but those were for plans, okay?
What did they do with the mound? Did they do anything with the mound?
No, nothing, they haven't started any work, I haven't cut a tree down, nothing out there.
So if,
I think if we were to call Nikki and say, we want all, but this building here is all, this is only the building. There's a lot of other stuff that goes with it. Slab, we asked for specialties in the slab. We asked for a mound system out in the woods that they has its own sewer system. Well, that we have, but we have to run water to it. Materials, we had special materials put in it, so kids wouldn't vandalize it as easy. Not that this doesn't look good here, it looks like a good strong building.
Yeah.
But I always thought, like you, the cost was astronomical
Mhm.
for a 20 by 24 building.
These don't even require engineering. That's the
Yeah.
thing that's really frustrating for me personally in the work that I do, is that we kind of put the cart before the horse and didn't really truly investigate all options before starting work with an engineer. Because there are cost-effective ways to do this where it doesn't require an engineer to do a lot of work. These are toilets that you just literally excavate a hole and it's already precast with all of the concrete ready to go and it gets dropped into a hole. And you can hook it up to lines that can go to a mound system if you wanted. It can have running water, but it significantly reduces the cost that you have to do,
Sure.
both with engineering and with just the fact that you're basically doing a stick build, whereas this is a precast. So it saves a lot of time. It saves a lot of time on like labor costs. So I know that you guys have put some money into this already, but maybe it makes sense for myself and Beth to sit down and just kind of compare cost to cost, so long as we know that there's an option for you to get out of this, like you're not stuck in something. It's easier to give grant money back to an agency and show that, we're trying to be responsible with our spending. And maybe there's other things we can do with those dollars at the park to
Right.
make a bigger impact. And we can have those discussions, but I just think I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't come to you guys and say, there are other options out here that you need to consider if there's still time.
Well, and I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I mean, and this kind of goes back, and I won't go back too far, because I always appreciate everything you do for us, Sarah, but I think that's where we relied heavily on our engineers that we've hired as a city to give us that information and not to shoot anybody in the foot, but
Right.
that's what they're paid to do. So when we get projects brought back to us and we have these grand ideas that look good on paper, we anticipate that the people that we're paying are coming back with ideas that are reasonable. The good thing about this, and I would support any conversations that would make this more financially reasonable for all the reasons that you mentioned. We did have the blended money that a lot of that money is flexible. Meaning like you said, if we have other stuff identified with you, we can use those funds somewhere else.
Right.
And this could be better all around.
Yeah.
So I do appreciate your work with that, but it has been a long road with these bathrooms and I don't think it should be that hard. It's been frustrating because we've been talking about this for the last couple of years. So I would just like to see the bathrooms done. And be done with it so that everybody doesn't have to smell sewer when they're at the lake. That's my way. But
Totally get it. I
Thing
just,
I'm worried about with it is if we do switch, by the time we get contractors lined up to put a mound system in for this to be dropped off, organize this all again, we'll be next year again.
and you don't have to have a mound system for this, right? You could do this as a bulk toilet, it just needs to be pumped once a year.
No, we
and
don't
less.
want that.
No.
Yeah,
That's
They
what
have
we
fan
had, we
systems
don't want
and everything
that.
else. Yeah. so I'm just letting you know there's options, but, yeah, okay.
I have a question.
Yes,
Would it
ma'am.
hurt to review the contract at the next meeting and decide where we're at and get some information from our engineer so we can review it and then see where we end up?
Sure.
I think
we need
that's
to, yeah.
Okay.
good, and I would like to utilize Sarah to do as
Yeah.
much as possible for this process.
Would you be able to come to the next meeting?
I'll have to look at my schedule again. I'll let you guys know.
Okay, I'll make a motion to add the contract for the O'Brien project to the next agenda and review the estimates that were received and if we have a signed agreement. And to send to the attorney prior, so he has a chance to review.
I'll support it.
Awesome, thanks, Chris.
Thank you,
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you, Sarah.
You're welcome.
All right, next up, 6.2, Dave Bird, Elite. Hi, Dave, thanks for coming.
So we've had some discussions on the AMI metering for the city to take that off your guys' plate to not have to do that around. So I brought Jason Kristoff up, he's our meter expert for Minnesota Power. And he can kind of give you some of the ins and outs of what to expect from this. You know, we can talk a little bit about a few of the costs. But I think you guys will like, kind of, because I learned a little bit today too, just talking with them, so I think it'll be interesting to see. So,
As I said, I'm Jason Kristoff, meter engineer for Minnesota Power. Did that job about 14 years now, so been at this a while. Basically, when we're looking at partnering with, a city like yourselves to do this metering work, the way that usually works out is we work with you on getting meter counts, information, all that. That helps us finalize our final pricing that we would have with it. For you guys, there's no upfront cost to this. We bear the burden of, we procure all the meters, we'll get them all installed for you and do all of that work. It just comes down to a set price per meter type per month that would be put in there for a 10-year contract is typically how we do this. Now, granted, there's nuances to this, we want to go through and have a good look at the system, see if there's deficiencies or things that we find concerning that would make a problem for deployment, and try to address them beforehand, do some stuff like that. If we see things that we think would be causing you to have issues with, you're not properly billing the customer, we help you address those, fix those, work through that. We can do all that kind of stuff. Timelines on stuff like this, getting the meters is kind of the wild card for us. That area hasn't completely recovered after COVID. I wouldn't be surprised if it takes us upwards of a year to get our hands on a complete package of meters to be able to do the full deployment. But as they come in, we can start working our way through it as needed as they're coming in. Deployment itself, if we get all of them on hand, something like this is a 2 to 3 week job for us to send you guys up here to get it done. Then from there, what we would do is we'd be working with you on, we would send you a billing file every month that gives you all the meter reads and everything that you would need. If you have customers questioning something like that, we would have access to far more data. You just give us a call, let us know which one you're looking at, and we would be able to go through and hand you out more data and spread it all, break it down however you need to with your customer. Meters give us a lot of interesting stuff of, we'll kind of monitor and watch it if there's problems with voltage or other things that we're seeing that look wrong. We can get in contact with you and say, hey, this probably needs to be looked at. You want us to go do something, you guys can hire somebody, but this probably should be addressed, things like that we can help with.
also have the auto shut off.
Correct. That would be another thing that we have is the meters do come for like standard residential where they can have a switch in them. So if you have customers that aren't paying their bills that you're going out and cutting on a regular basis, you could choose to put that in there and then it's a phone call to us. We push a button in the office, disconnects the meter, they call, hey, get it straightened out, you give us a call back, we turn it right back on. No one has to actually go visit the site for that. We're not pulling meters, we're not doing any of that kind of work to have to cause all that. So that would be something in an upfront level a little bit. You guys would have to kind of decide how many of those do you want, or do you want to just put them on everybody, or what would you want to do with something like that, so we know what we're ordering against. The only other thing that we would be looking to do as part of that is to ensure that we get solid meter reads and you have the connectivity of the meters to be able to open and close switches to do that. We would be looking to add a radio somewhere in town here, which would be yet to be determined whether it might be on our system, might be on yours. We'd come in and add a whole radio just so we can ensure solid reads and not have problems with anything around here done.
And there would possibly be the opportunity to add gas and water in there if you guys are doing that now.
That would be an opportunity there. The manufacturer does offer read modules for gas and water that do function under the same network.
We don't do either.
Okay,
We only have a couple water meters in town we pay set rate,
okay,
and we don't have natural gas that's handled by
perfect.
Northern, whatever it's called, Minnesota. or something.
Okay, all right, we won't worry about that part. We're just focused on electric now.
Yeah.
I guess, do you guys have any questions on that, or?
Well, the big question is cost. What are we looking at, like, per household or something?
So finalized numbers on meter counts and getting that all set will determine the straight up flat out number. But I'm gonna take a guess, the residential is probably gonna fall somewhere in the $5 to $7 a month range, I would say. If you choose to have one there that has the disconnect switch in it, those meters cost more, and then we're covering us probably doing some work for you on that front, so those would probably be another $1 or $2 a month more. Commercial meters, 10, 12, 13, somewhere in there. Like I said, it depends on the final mixture of what we're buying and looking at what that looks like over the course of a 10-year contract. Because that's typically how we would work this would be an initial 10-year contract. And then at the end of the 10-year contract, you would have an option of, do you want to redeploy with everything new? Do you want to do something yourself? Or we're confident in the meters for 15 years, we could renegotiate a new contract for additional 5 of the existing infrastructure and see what that looks like. But, us ourselves, these are really 15-year solutions. We started our initial pilot back in 2009. Next year, we're starting to redeploy our systems. Keep it fresh.
Mayor, I have a few questions. So how old is our current system that we have now? How long have you had this meter reading system?
2012,
2012? Okay.
Banyan. And you're compatible with Banyan, if I remember correctly, from the last time you did your,
You're talking about your billing system?
yes.
So what we would do is we would work with you on making sure we're giving you a file that's easily uploadable, which we can configure and work with you on that. That should be no issue. That's just a little upfront work we'd have to do.
Okay. And are you working with Nashwauk? Do they have the same system right now?
Correct. Nashwauk,
Okay.
we've been installed there since 2017, 2018.
And that seems to be working good with that.
As far as I know, if you go talk to them, I haven't heard them have any complaints on that at all.
Okay. I know there was an issue reading 3-phase meters with the system that was there previously. Is that still an issue or has that been resolved,
We're not having any issues
Okay.
at all with that. The only thing I noticed as I did drive around a little bit is you do have several of your commercial customers that have vandal guards on the sockets. That would inhibit reading with an RF system, so those vandal guards would have to go away as part of the deployment of that.
Okay.
Otherwise, I would expect pretty much crystal clear reads.
And then do many of your customers that use the system have the turn off capabilities installed in the meters or?
We have chosen at this point in time with our current deployment, we selectively put them in there. We're currently evaluating before I start ordering meters for next year across our system. Do we just put everyone as the same meter and just have it universal?
Okay.
So again, that would be a choice that you guys can have. We can definitely help you weigh pros and cons on that.
That wouldn't have to be an all or none.
It would not
Right.
have to be an all and done. It's just if you want to, if you don't want
Group
to.
of customers that are maybe giving you a headache,
Well, when we had discussed it last time, Nikki, do you remember? And were you on the council?
I don't think No.
Okay, it was discussed that we were gonna do it on rental properties. We had a whole plan and I probably could pull that. But where I'm sitting right now is I wanna see the numbers because the numbers you're giving me are not the same as what they were in 2021.
Hidden prices change. I mean, we're gonna get.
Well, no,
pricing
this
increases.
is less, which makes no sense to me. So until we have the paperwork with the number that says this is what's gonna be charged for that meter, I thought they were like $10 for those special meters with the auto shut off on them.
Like I said, a little bit of that would be somewhat of the mix.
Or
We come up with
15.
an initial price that,
Yeah.
say 10 or 15% for right now.
And then your charge of what you would be charging us per month would also have to be in that contract so we could see what it is.
Yeah, it's just one
It's-
fee.
yeah.
Everything's wrapped together into one, so
Mhm,
the tower that goes in, the meter costs,
mhm.
all
Any
that's
maintenance
just
we
a
gotta
monthly
do.
fee.
Yeah,
It's on us.
Nothing upfront.
Yeah.
You know, we'll.
but the 10-year contract you're getting.
Yep.
Right, and that's what I'm remembering. Yeah, and so I wanna look at all that stuff, you know.
It would be a
closely.
set price for the whole 10 years, that wouldn't change, there's no
Right.
escalation in there, nothing like that.
Mhm. Yeah, I'd like to compare, see where it's changed from 21 to currently.
I don't think we could, you know, we have some information that we could probably get you some baseline numbers
And
on.
that, and that's kind of where these numbers he gave you kind of came off of Nashwauk. I kind of just did a little feel, kind of what was going there. And obviously there is going to be a little bit of escalation probably for meter costs and that kind of stuff from,
Mhm,
you know,
absolutely.
so these, you know, we did up them a little bit just to, for an estimate for you guys, just to kind of, I'd rather be a little bit high than
Mhm.
on the other side where you guys go, whoa.
So how many meters are we doing now? We used to do like 606, 610.
Say it's probably about.
Still the same?
Yeah,
And
Okay.
then there was like.
I just wasn't sure if we had gone up.
I would say,
Okay.
Yeah, because we can probably get you a pretty close number sooner rather than later. For a true contract sign, we would be working with you on. Next time you go through and read the meters, we need some finite information about the meter form and some other stuff that way we know exactly what we want to be ordering, then we can kind of finalize the numbers, and at that point, give you a true, because it doesn't drive number.
I think last time, if I can, the last time I think you gave us like an example of contract to look at, would that be something that I think you gave us, you provided us an example of something that had the numbers in it?
Yes, it
If that would be
Yeah.
helpful? for
Yeah,
us to
so we
see
can
what
probably, we can take one of the existing ones.
Yep.
Get you something to look at.
Yeah, I think you used a redacted one or something.
Yeah,
Or
probably, we
looking
can do
at.
that, that should be a problem.
Yeah, for, let's take a look at it, because I think the thing that we were talking about last time was, and I remember this being a holdup, is where it being charged back to the residents and,
Well, yeah, I remember it being like $5.
yeah, 7.
Commercial or whatever businesses were a little bit more.
But we had talked about taking that $10 fee and using, there was a bigger conversation about it, but if we could have that, that would be really helpful
Yeah,
for us to
no,
have around.
We can get you more of a break on that, yeah. Commercial is gonna be a lot more, I mean, just straight up flat out our cost for the meter itself, they're
3 times.
3 to 4 times
Yeah.
easily. Just our purchase cost to get that thing initially,
Yeah.
so, I mean, obviously they're gonna come with a little more cost.
Being there's only 13 of those, that kind of helps a little bit, so.
Yeah, we don't have many, so.
Yeah.
Mostly
Yeah, no.
residential.
Like I said, I did a drive around, initial first look assessment, I didn't see anything that caught my eye that I was overly concerned about, it was just the animal guards would need to go away, but that would be something that we would want to do, is that part of this is myself and a technician would come and we want to go dig through those closer and look at them, because, you know, I'll be honest, every one of these we've done, we found deficiencies that need to be addressed ahead of time, so it wouldn't have a problem with deployment, or we found things that, you know, we should probably do something with this is probably hurting your registration and you're underbilling your customer or something like that, so. And I'll be honest, that's there, if you guys wanna do that, we could do that sooner rather than later for you. And what we would do is we just hold that in reserve. If you decide to go down this path with us, that's all wrapped up into that project cost. If you decide not to, we would just bill you for, you know, a day of my time and a day of technician's time, to go through and do that and build a report for you. So we can do that either which way.
I think it's something we should look into.
I think if we looked at like how much it costs for wages to go around and do the reading and all the
Yeah.
estimates, I'd be curious to know like the estimation in comparison to using something like, you know, because we have to, say the weather is bad, you estimate, you know, and then I would just be curious about like, yeah, it costs $15,000, just fictitious number. But if you look at wages and you look at everything else that goes into it, it actually, you come out ahead. Is that gonna finding for you or not even close?
You typically aren't gonna pay for an AMI system saying you're saving labor, it's everything else that comes with it.
Yeah,
You know, at that point there, every meter on every house is really a power quality note. Now we know, are they getting proper delivery? Is there something wrong with the service? We can find that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
You know, there's, you know, that's things of, as we go down, getting more serious with this, you know, there's things we need to talk about of, you know, meters have temperature detectors in them. If a socket has bad connections in it, they get hot. You know, how do you want to handle that? What do you want to do with these? 'Cause we'll get the alarms, you know, if you want us to respond, we'll contact you. There's things we gotta sit and figure out on that. And I'll be honest, you're probably gonna see some of them. When I drive around, you know, the average lifespan for a standard style socket is 30 years. When I drive around here, there's a lot of them that are well in excess of that. Are they gonna fail when we go to do something? Maybe, maybe not. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a handful of failures as we do with public deployment potentially, that we need to plan around to handle those. But
So do we have to hire like an electrical outfit then to come in and change these sockets out?
that would be something that's,
How do you
we
handle
would
that?
have partner with you. We aren't an electrical contractor, so we can't do like a residential
Right.
socket. So that would be something you guys need to figure out of, are you gonna take on that burden and have an electrician on standby yourselves that you would want to pay for it, or are you gonna burden on the customer, or how you wanna handle that? We can help you through that.
We changed a lot of them, I would say about 15, 20 years ago. We made everybody move the meter from the basement outside.
Sure.
And we supplied the box, so they're all 200 amp boxes, they should be. And those
Yeah,
would be all
those-
right. But there's still some that were outside when we did that, and they're probably from the 50s.
I was gonna say, when I was riding around, I noticed, yeah, there was a lot of them that are, you know, 7, 8 feet off the ground in garages and alleyways, they look aged.
There's probably quite a few. That'd be a big cost to us, because the customer's not gonna wanna do it, I can tell you that.
And are you gonna see a lot of failures? You're gonna see a handful. I would plan on that. I wouldn't say, no, you're not gonna see 10, 15% fail. You're gonna see a handful probably. I mean, a lot of those, how long is that meter been in there since it's been pulled last? You know, who knows what's degraded in there in that
Well,
time.
and if it's not calculating, we could be losing money.
You could be.
So
Yes.
Yes.
if it's running slow and it's not up to snuff, yeah,
Correct.
it could pay for itself if we change them
I
out.
would say, when was the last time you had someone come in and test, you know,
Yeah.
a significant part of the meter population? I mean, I saw a lot of mechanicals in there. They slow down over time. That's a
Yeah,
given.
they do.
So, you know, that's kind of the one nice thing with the newer meters. They're kind of go, no go. Either I'm extremely accurate or I'm just dead in the water.
They've been changing the meters out though, as you know, Mickey, when they're getting rid of the dial meters. When there's something that's going on, there's been lots of new meters purchased and new ones have gone in.
Yep.
So.
So I did notice that you had some new ones on some of the 3D
Well, it's
systems.
continually going on because they know, you know, that
There's an age to them.
they slow down.
It used to be
Yeah.
about $5 a month, because I had arguments with people, and we pulled them and put the new ones in, their bill went up $5, they want the old one back. And what our deal was, if we change it all, you live with that one. So some of them they're like $5 a month.
Yeah, and over
We need a motion.
600 meters,
Yeah.
times 12 months.
Yeah.
You know, and that would be something with this system, that would be, you know, something that we can help you look into in that, because these meters will be giving us data for every 15 minutes. Same as the meter that feeds the town, so we would be very easily able to look at and say, well, what are your system losses? Well, let's look at the main meter that we're looking at, the whole town, add up all these, and, oh, here's your percent difference, this is what your loss in your system is.
Right.
You know, that would make doing things like that very easy to do, because now everything's on the same time frame versus you got the reads from us, when did you take your reads? I mean, there's a lot of give or take in there versus everything's set to a time clock now.
We need a motion to move forward.
Sure.
Okay, I'll make a motion to move forward with more information, obtaining more information on the automatic read meters from Minnesota Power.
so,
Any further discussion? All in favor? Motion carried.
I
Thank
will,
you, guys.
I'll set up a call with Dan and we can kind of go through with what Jason's gonna need and set up a plan and.
Okay.
Thank you.
I know this town pretty well, so if you wanna get a hold of me.
So we need someone to show us around, but you don't miss anything.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Yep,
you.
Thank you very much. Okay, unfinished business, 7-1. Appoint counselor as a liaison to planning and zoning board to be provided. Any volunteers?
No. I'll make a motion, yeah.
I'll support.
She's on it, doesn't she?
See, that's what happens when you do things like that.
Counselor,
Counselor Levine, I'll make a motion, Counselor Levine, be the liaison for planning and zoning.
I'll support with first, allow Clerk Mackey to ask her question. Did you have a question, Clerk Mackey?
no, that just happened fast here. Okay. Okay. Seconded by,
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
no. Can I vote no?
You got a
We're
conflict.
gonna have roll call
Yeah, conflict. I really do not want to be honest. I don't have the time.
So
Any other takers?
I thought I'm on it. I'm not on it?
No, we had to appoint somebody, right? Correct. For the email. Yep. Okay, let's back up here. We have a motion by Counselor Moraz, supported by Counselor Jivery to appoint Counselor Labine to be the liaison for the zoning and planning board. Motion carried.
Yes.
Roll call. Counselor Moraz.
Yes.
Counselor Jivery.
I have to say yes.
Mayor Levine.
Yes.
Counselor Levine. No. No. Counselor Thronson.
Yes, that's fine.
Yes. So what do we do when she
Well,
never
she's
showing
a
up to a meeting?
Well, and that's what I hear.
Well,
You
no,
need a
just-
volunteer.
so in seriousness, we could amend that and then appoint Counselor Johnson. Because she thought she was already on it, and if you're not. then you-
Yeah, I totally didn't
Right, it's
understand
just-
what was
it's
going on
not,
with that, but that's fine.
A council, it's just as a liaison, you're not really
You're not
on the board.
You're
You're
just
just a,
taking the.
As a Eric was and
Attendant,
stuff
yeah.
like that. and
okay,
Carissa for the library.
So
Yeah.
It goes
Yeah.
on and on and on.
For the council.
aye. Okay, now,
Do we have enough people on it then? I thought we didn't have enough people on the board. That's what's confusing me. I guess I don't know what's going on.
we will
We
get
have
another
4.
person. We have.
You have
Um,
4, right?
We got 2 new ones,
Yes.
Randy and Matt.
So you have a quorum.
4.
So you're just one short.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
If-
that's what
if
I
you
thought
have
we
to have
needed
5.
Yeah.
You don't, yeah, but you don't need 5. You can be short as long as you have 4. So you could go with 3 if you had to. If somebody drops out.
Yeah.
Okay, motion carried. Thank you. We're good.
We're good?
We're good. Are we good?
I got lost or something.
I've never seen someone refuse a position.
7.3, review and approve the city organizational chart.
Mayor?
Yes.
There is the organizational chart with the changes that were suggested at the last meeting, and I'm still, you'd like arrows. I'm looking for some software to provide some nice arrows versus marker. So it's still a work in progress, and I will provide a sharper looking chart soon.
Good. Thank you.
Motion to table it.
Uh,
All right, 7.5, discuss the $25 late fee assessed to residents' utility bill.
Mayor?
Yes.
I think at the last meeting, Counselor Jivery wanted to know if the
$25 late fee assessment was included in the budget, and it is not included in the budget as we don't know that we can depend on those funds coming in, so therefore it wasn't in our operational budget.
So that's good, right?
Yeah.
So we have some flexibility, and, the other question that I had was, and I'm going back now, there was the number there, was it 26? What was how much money was it for the year?
29.
29, and that was for just 1 year, right?
Yeah.
Yep, I go 29,000 for 1 year.
For a half a year though, right? Pam was thinking that 25 charge wasn't put on until May or June or something like that. May or June, the $25 charge.
Oh, no, I was talking about the sewer.
Sorry, misunderstood you. Okay.
So we,
Yeah, that was for a year.
So when did we
I
do
didn't
the
think it was
resolution?
very long.
Do you remember when we implemented that, Billy?
That $25 charge, when was that put on? It wasn't in January, I just,
2023, it was a 29 for.
But we did it in 22, right?
I want to say it was a year.
Yeah, it's been at least a year.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it was.
Because it was January, the report you gave was January to December, and there was, you did the 1 month for January, and it was in there, so it's been over a year. I think that we've had it.
Well, and I think where we left off the question last time was, I had the budget question unless somebody else did, and then wanted clarification on a total, if that was for the year, if that was a long-standing one, which I got both of my questions answered. I don't know if anybody else had questions.
No.
I guess what we gotta do is come up with, if $25 is too much or not enough, we gotta come up with another number. We've had it on here like 2 or 3 times now.
Well, it definitely has to be resolved, and I think if I'm understanding this, if I could just ask another question, can I ask this question? Sure. So it looks like Billy, do you want to come up to it? Okay, then.
Yes.
She wants to question for that.
So it looks like, based on the information that you provided, is we have, and I just want to make sure I'm understanding, a quarter of residents that are paying their bills late. Around 100. Around 100 people. And I think what you provided before, Billy, was you separated out the electrical piece of that, right? The late fees were higher than, correct me if I'm wrong, the
Oh, yeah.
late fees are higher than
Some of
what
them,
they're,
the late fees are higher than what their actual electric portion of their bill is.
okay. And you provided us all the information that we need to do to see, or to look at for surrounding cities, which it looked like there was absolutely no consistency across towns as far as what they were doing, right? So I think it leaves it then with us of whether we want to do the flat fee, and we're comfortable with that, I'm not. Or if we want to do a percentage. I think that's where we left it off last time. I think 25 is high.
Yeah, I feel it's high too. The only reason I'm seeing it's like an electrical bill and they get disconnected, they're still gonna be charged $100. As discussed in the end of January, that there was $100 connect, reconnect and disconnect. That's not true either. It's one flat $100, and it says right in the recording, it was 200. Just so everyone understands that, it isn't a $200 fee. So most of them are not homeowners, I would say, more rental. The majority of them also, is Kutaska paying the late fees? Do you recall when they call you?
No, they're paying just.
They don't.
electric portion.
Okay, because before they would pay late fees under electrical, that's why I'm asking. And right now they're just paying, so they're not paying the
I'd
late
have
fee.
to look into it. they might be on the electric, on the,
Can I comment?
because
Sure.
it is part of the electric.
They will only pay the electric. And when you have to enter the payment, it gets applied to everything.
Right.
But they only give you the money for electric.
Right, that's what I
That's
asked.
it, yes.
Yeah.
So
It's
that's-
not for the sewer or the water, and that's what I said, but they're
Yeah.
still paying the penalty on the electric portion,
Whatever gets,
Yeah,
how
charged
it
to
gets
broken down to
broken
them.
down for the receipt.
And so now you have changed it, as I saw on the computer today, that it's under electric, sewer, water, and garbage only. It's not down on any of those other ones. Little confused as you are, how this is showing up because it isn't matching right. And so possibly March 1st, if we looked at it again,
Probably after we do the late, maybe after the 15th of March. See what it's pulling under.
it still shouldn't be showing that. I personally would call and ask them.
No, it won't be showing on there.
Okay,
I can call them and ask them why it's showing.
because you changed it, I don't know, and that was after February 14th. I don't know what day you changed it, but that's when we requested for it to be put on the 4, after the last council meeting.
Then I would say it was changed Thursday or Friday.
Okay, so it's been close to 2 weeks. It's odd that that's still showing up on here when you have,
But I mean, there should be a portion for the first 2 weeks.
and that's what I was wondering, but why does it still say yes? I mean, I can see that there would be an amount there, but why would it still say yes? It just, something doesn't seem right to me on there.
So I have a question then. So I don't know, depending on the date it was changed, it wouldn't matter because if it's changed on the 15th of the month, you don't calculate your service charge till the end of the month. So it shouldn't be on there at all when you calculate. It should
With
not,
the new billing, you mean?
right, you're doing your bill the end of the month.
Yeah,
So you calculate the 20.
and you did
Six.
calculate.
So when you calculate your service charge, it shouldn't be calculated on that amount because you changed it to no.
But it's for last month.
No, this
No, it
is
says
February
February.
1 to the 28th.
That
February
report says
1, yeah.
February.
You had to put the dates in, remember? Something just doesn't seem right. I would question them, that's all. It's not making sense to me. But,
Because it
as
should
far,
only calculate on what is considered the service charge to be calculated on, which we decided then
Late fee,
before late
Penalty.
fees, right?
So it doesn't matter, is it a behind a month? So that doesn't matter? So we just have to call and check that.
Yeah, that was
Just sounds like that would be a call and check.
So it's 2 days after you calculate.
right,
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
All right, I got a question. So right now, we have a $25 late fee on there. What do we have the $25 late fee for? What's the purpose for it?
For the people that don't pay their bill on by the 25th of the month, when she calculates the service charge, on the 26th, those people get assessed $25 because they didn't pay their bill on time.
Okay, and that's put on there to try to make them pay their bill on time?
Yep.
Okay, so here, we're gonna lower that. We're talking about lowering that. I'm just trying to make sense here now. We're gonna talk about lowering that, and we already have 20% of our people paying late. So what's to say if we lower it to $10, we're not gonna have 40% of our people paying late? If the $25 ain't stopping them,
It used to only be 10,
that's what I'm
no, it
saying.
was 5%,
5%.
5%.
Looking at the numbers and,
So I think that what that's going to lead to is more disconnections come
right,
disconnect day.
that's the game I used to play when I worked here. I had a pickup truck full of them.
Yep.
The whole week. I understand, like Susan, that we talked before, that you do get the money back later. But 25 to me is a little bit steep. I'll come down some. I would. But I'm not gonna go too far.
We'll make a motion that we do a 15% flat fee on the same electric, sewer, water, garbage. See how that goes. I don't know how to, other than try something different if some are, where we're not agreeing 100%. That's just my thoughts, is to put 15 on it as a flat fee instead of the 25.
So, yeah, it could come out to, these example bills, it could come out to close to what?
Way higher, yeah.
Yeah. I'll support 15.
I think we're going higher at 15.
$15.
15%.
She said percent.
The average bill runs about 200, I would say.
So 10% of a $300 bill is $30.
Oh, but you're saying only on those,
Well, it's
So it'd
on
be less.
water,
So
sewer,
$300.
on water, the sewer, electric, and garbage.
So those four things
Correct.
would not equal that full 300.
Right.
Is that what you're thinking?
Oh, I
Thank you.
see.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Okay.
That's how
That
you can
reduces
pick it
it
in
a
the
lot.
system.
Otherwise, I was gonna say that's on
Right.
$200, that's,
That's why at the last
$30.
meeting, we made those changes because it was calculating service charges on these other items, so we changed it.
Just to reiterate, we have a motion by Counselor Thronson for a 15% flat fee on electric, water, garbage, and sewer, supported by Counselor Levine.
any further discussion? Did you second on that?
Yeah.
All in favor?
I,
Aye, motion carried.
Did we
I have a
need
question. We should
effective
have a
date?
resolution on that, Brian,
Correct.
and that'll be effective, I guess, on the next billing cycle, so. Well, we can implement March 1st.
And the resolution should be to amend the fee schedule.
Effective March 1st. Do you agree to that? To amend your motion?
Yeah, that's fine.
We're good. 7.5, discuss new city flag quotes
Thank you, Billy.
from Supervisor
Thanks, Billy.
Summers. Thanks, Billy.
Thank you.
We have two different flags, one for 78, the other one I believe was 40-some.
Yeah.
We have both flags here, did everybody get a chance to look at them?
Mayor,
Yes.
in discussion with Supervisor Sunquist, he is in favor of the better quality flag.
Yes.
If you haven't had an opportunity to see it, this was the one that was there at the meeting last time.
And that's display sales.
Display sales.
I'll make a motion to
Thank you.
approve, the purchase of 30 flags from display sales per the quote. And
Awesome.
recommendation of supervisor.
I'll support. And then that takes care of that credit also, correct, Val?
Correct.
All right.
what do we have, 1,500? Well,
Mayor, there's something like
1,500. I think it's 1,500 credit.
that. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you.
7.6, approved payment of $14,407.50 to Spire Credit Union for IRRB grant fund received 3/3/23.
I'll make a motion to pay Spire the $14,407.50.
Support.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. 7.7, First Street entrance sign update, Susan Johnson.
Okay, I handed out a piece of paper so we can get clear for sure what we're doing up there. The old sign needs to be taken down. USCO gave us $8,000 to put into a new sign. So the old sign has to be taken down, as was discussed when we first started this project. So with that being said, the council needs to make a decision on what we want to do with the sign. Do we want to put it up on bids? The sign is in very good shape. It could be used separately for panels. Also, the city could use them and get it re-wrapped for O'Brien, saying contact, use one section of them. You don't have to use the 20-foot by 10 sign. Just use a section of it, get it wrapped, and it say, this is rental, this is the days it's open, this is, something to that effect. But I'm just saying examples on what we could do. Otherwise, we could have a business sign also with another portion of it coming in saying this is the downtown business district and this is how to get to Keewatin. point the arrow. I mean, different things we could do with that. Otherwise, just sell it outright. So those are the only things that I was thinking about on that. But the sign does need to come down. And so I'm sure the city crew would take it down, but if we sell it, I would have them dismantle it if we went that route. That's all I'm saying. And what was the other thing we needed to talk about? The volunteers that they were kind of questioning what I wanted. It's gonna be with flower, the rounded flower with the light pole going up in the middle. That one is got to be, redone. It was all cleaned up by the street crew 2 summers ago. It'll be 2 summers. The girls went up there, cleaned everything out, so it's good to go. It just needs to be, redone. The lighting needs to be done. And then that upright flower bed that has some birch trees in it, that is gonna be dismantled also by the street department. That's gonna go out of there. None of this, the lighting is the only thing. It's gonna be more of the in-kind effort of it. So that's what, I don't know what questions other than that you guys might have. I know that Beth had talked, or I thought she had talked, I talked to Whitney over at IRRB to see if she would match the 8,000 that US Steel had given us. And I don't know whatever happened with that, Beth, if you could tell us, did Whitney ever get back to you, or it just kind of?
In matching the,
Yeah, the
8,000.
8,000, because the 2020 was matched, but we never touched the 8,000. And I thought if we had, we could get that 8,000 matched from US Steel. And to me, when I talked to her originally, yes, it was a very possible idea. And then I had talked to you and said that Whitney will probably be calling you. And I don't know if she ever did, Beth, or not.
yeah, that didn't
Didn't happen.
transpire, but
Okay, all right, that's all I was wondering on that.
All right, I have some information on this.
Okay,
On the old sign,
okay.
KeyTac hasn't given us permission yet to take it down there. They're evaluating it, looking at it. I just talked to them today, which I didn't even know any of this is, but they wanna look, they might, they wanna make a decision if they wanna take it down or not. So we have to wait. I'm pretty sure it's their sign.
Okay, because when I sent the original stuff, which are in the book, Sue Weary knew exactly that sign was coming down. I sent her the full breakdown of it as all of us got it on the council. Like Beth wasn't here yet. So that's odd. Who did you talk to out there?
The questioning is they didn't realize that the other sign was gonna not be as big, So that's the issue right now. We're gonna go look at it, take a good look at it, and see, and get back to us.
Oh, that defeats the purpose. I didn't know
That's
that.
where we're at on that, so.
Okay.
Is it possible that they wanna repurpose it or move it, or are they thinking that they're gonna hold it to that spot?
I don't know. They're gonna look at it,
it's
but
really,
Okay,
it's possible, we'll just do where it's at. I don't know.
alright.
Mayor?
Yes,
Okay. So, on this drawing, the
Yes.
flower bed is gonna be removed. What, are the trees staying then in that flower bed?
No,
Those
because they're,
They're wiry looking.
yeah.
Okay, so they're
That's
getting,
just gonna be cleaned up.
okay. And then new trees, the lighting, and then,
That picnic, area was something that we had talked about.
okay,
Down the road, I don't know, and I also talked with Masaba
bike
and,
trail.
yeah, I just thought it would be nice to have one on the east end.
Mhm.
Not that the city's doing it, this is,
Right.
more
So,
into it, because there is one up on the
Mhm.
west end already.
Yeah.
And when they're coming from that direction, I just thought it'd be nice to have a
Mhm.
rest area up there.
okay.
yeah, could do so.
So maybe we need to contact them and see if they would be willing to put something there, or maybe we could, when the group comes in June, build a little lean-to type area and put a picnic table under it. I don't know, just suggestion. But IRRB should have funds available for these
Tourism.
projects through the tourism, right? So I think, Beth, if you could contact, or
Sarah?
Sarah has any on the tourism grants
The tourism grants closed until at least July.
until July, no? Okay,
It'd be next year something, but it doesn't matter.
okay. I think we need to go down that road or
Yeah,
something.
and that had been discussed with Danae, yeah. And she was totally on board with it too, so.
Sometimes they do another round, don't they, Sarah? I thought if
There's
they have
two-
money,
They just closed one in July, or in January. and the
Okay.
next one will probably be after their fiscal year starts in July, so it's
Okay.
usually August.
okay.
Yes,
Sarah, is this something that Day of Action would look at to help us with up there, or?
Well, that's
Do
what
you
I
have
was,
a sign area?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so. We can add it to the list.
sounds good. Okay.
With the volunteers though, I'm good just to have a couple people up there and go and do that flower bed. I don't need a bunch of people. That's why I wanted to just do that on our own. Caroline and I had talked about it once before too, so. And there's a couple other people that would be willing to come up there. Just put some
Plant
perennials
flowers,
up there and
yeah.
stuff like that. Fluff it up, make it look better.
Did they take those two other planters that were there? Are they
They're
removed?
still there,
Okay.
yeah.
I'll make a motion that those two planters that are up in the main entrance get removed. We've talked about that quite a bit, and it hasn't been done, so by the next meeting,
I'll second support that.
Where are you moving them to?
the garbage.
We talked about before the community center.
Well, no, I don't want to throw them in the garbage. I'm gonna clean them.
You want to refer-
Yes, I'm gonna clean them up and paint them. They'll look great, I promise you that.
Okay,
So where are you moving them?
So you can
Susan's
put them
house.
down at my house and I'll clean them up.
Susan's
I
yard.
want one.
They're gonna go at the community center.
Okay.
Drop them off at,
I'll
Bronson.
clean them up and make them look good.
All in favor?
aye.
Motion carried. New business. Approved selling forfeiture 2006 GMC Sierra pickup for Keewatin Police Department.
So moved.
Second,
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. 8.2, adopt a resolution to approve the Itasca County 911 radio user group contract for Keewatin Police Department, beginning date of execution by Itasca County, ending December 31st, 2027.
This is the amount you got on the invoice, Beth? Okay, I'll make a motion to adopt the resolution for the police department radio
Second.
contract
Any further
and allow the
discussion?
mayor to sign.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. 8.4. 8. One for the fire. Adopt a resolution to approve Itasca County 911 radio contract for the Keewatin Fire Department. Beginning date of execution by Itasca County, December 31st, 2027.
I'll make a motion.
I'll support with an amendment on the resolution to put total for the year on the
Okay.
amount of 44,94.72, and allow the mayor to sign. Carissa? That's okay?
Yes.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. 8.5. 8.4. Set special meeting date for review of Nashwauk ambulance task force. Krista?
So I suggested that we schedule another meeting to kind of talk it through, but I can certainly give everybody the cliff notes right now. If you so would like that, I guess I'll give the council the option. Whatever you want.
I would like to have a sit down. There's a lot of questions I have in here and it might end up getting kind of lengthy. Even just reading the bylaws that they want us to follow, examples, just a lot of concerns that I would like to sit with the council and talk about.
So I will give some clarification though, just moving forward. So what's in your packet is a copy of the last meeting and the minutes, okay, and the agenda. that, so where it stands right now is that the next meeting is March 27th. So if we were gonna have a special meeting, I'd like to do it before that time. By March 27th, they're asking that councils come back or cities come back and specifically address or have questions or answers to number 5 and number 6 on the last agenda dated February 15th. That is an example of a joint powers agreement that could be used as a model inside of those meeting minutes. So, at the last meeting, there was an individual, Beth's helping me out here, Charles. I don't know his last name off the top of my head, but he, is at the he's on the EMS State Regulatory Board, and he came and spoke at our meeting. And so, I want everybody to kind of take this with a grain of salt. There's a lot of things that need to be put into, there's a lot of conversations that need to be had, but what they're specifically asking for are our cities in or out, okay? So do cities want to be part of this joint powers board? Because there would be an application process, there would be a whole process that would need to be done, or are we not interested? I think it makes sense for us to kind of talk about it as a council, potentially have Charles maybe get on and we could ask him the same questions that we asked during that meeting. I think that knowledge is key. The other part that would be helpful for people to do in preparation for a meeting such as that is looking at some of the resources that the League of Minnesota Cities has, for taxing law and regulations, those types of things. I think we just have to educate ourselves at this point in time, but I think for the most part, the ambulance meetings have been very positive. Communities are wanting to come together. One of the things that was mentioned during the last one is that we forgot about 2 communities, not intentionally, but by accident. So there's actually not 11 communities, there's 13. So Taconite and then is it
Bearville.
So they were somebody was gonna reach out to them and just kind of see if they wanted to be part of these conversations too.
Mayor,
Yes, Casey, come on.
something else to think about with this, Mrs. Caligiuri, if you're gonna do a special meeting, I think I would have her
Yeah, she's
here.
been,
And she ran that thing.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And what's went wrong, I don't know, nobody can say what's went wrong, but I would have her here, because I think she would be a great person to make people understand what it's all about.
yeah, and I would agree, thank you for that. because
And as
she's been-
far as Bearville goes, they get supported by Cook, by Big Fork, and Nashwauk. But I was up there, their last meeting, and they're like, hey, how come we're not hearing about it? So they want to be involved too at some point, so.
Okay, and I know based on that last meeting, they said they were gonna reach out to
Yeah.
them and, but yeah, I forgot about it, so that's actually really a good reason. She's been very verbal at the meetings and I enjoy listening to her. She's got a lot of knowledge, so.
Yeah.
Was there anything else that you wanted to add?
I missed the last meeting.
Okay.
I just went through the minutes that Villeneuve sent out to
Okay.
us at the county to read it, but that's, but she, and when they ran that thing, it made money.
Yeah.
What's went wrong, I don't know.
Yeah.
I understand some of it is the billing from meds, or from,
Transporting.
what's that?
From when you transport.
Medica. I understand that part of it. That is a huge loss. And I can talk more about it later, but, so.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mayor,
Yes,
I guess I'm not opposed to having a meeting to discuss it and look at the joint powers agreement and kind of decide, but I do have questions on who's going to be in charge of the funding and all that and where that's going to be at. Administration, and if we're going to be getting charged administration fees or how this all is all going to play out. And then the other thing, there's 2 bills right now, one in the House and one in the Senate for $120 million to help rural ambulances. Obviously, probably not coming till 2025, but we need to keep that in mind as well. So I'd like to know, where are they? Are they $100 million, $100,000 in the hole? Are they?
It's about 120, and it sounds like that what's out there right now is will cover 2022 costs, if I understood it correctly, so the deficit, because they're in a deficit, so the money that they're asking for there's already operating at a deficit, I think it's 120,000, because that was, a lot of the conversations that were during the last meeting it's very specific to that, like who's gonna be in charge, who has the most say, whatever, and then that's where they pulled out this example, and when Charles came online, he said there really isn't a model that you can follow that says they've done everything right. And there isn't one that says, hey, they've crashed and burned either. So all of this is up for negotiation. It's really just, if we're in, everything else is negotiable. Everything is. But first you have to get through the application process, because they could say no. They could say, no, you can't transfer. So Nashwauk has the ambulance right now. No, you can't transfer it and do this. I mean, there are potentially roadblocks, but you don't know until you start it. And so, but I think with him being on and I'm pointing at him as if he's there, but with him being able to answer some of those preliminary questions, I think it would be helpful to the council to hear it. Because I can go to the meetings and I feel confident about the meeting or the information I'm bringing back. I got loads of notes, but what I gather during every meeting is that the communities want to come together, they want to work together, but everybody wants to know where they stand in the equation. Like, what do we get out of it? Some of it is obvious, but what cost is going to come back to our residents? Like, I think a lot of that, everybody's on the same page with that. And nobody wants to see the service go away.
So I have another question. Have they provided the financials?
Yes.
Oh.
That is in, so that packet, Pam, if you look at,
Is it that one that Beth sent out?
yeah,
It's very
it's
large.
not much.
Yeah, see,
If you look at the budget there.
Okay, so, I would like to see the audit, because the audit was done every year. When I was there, it was included in the audit, the annual audit, so they must have audits, books,
I'll write down mine.
so.
I'll keep a list of questions. So do we all wanna have a special meeting to talk about this? One?
Sure.
And
I
then
would
we
like
can
to.
invite Ms. Caligari too, to see if she would like to.
So you said their next
Absolutely.
meeting's March 27th? That's the same day as our council meeting?
Yes, it is the
Oh,
same as our
okay.
council meeting. Everybody has council meetings every day,
Yeah.
everybody there, so we're all in the same boat, but it's at 6, the meetings are at 6:30.
So when would he be able, also before that, you would want him here?
Yeah, we could have him, we could call him.
Oh, it doesn't
connect
matter.
via Zoom.
Mhm, okay.
So,
Who are you connecting with, Charles or Karen?
well, Charles would be somebody that, he is from the regulatory board.
Okay.
He would speak with us about some of the questions about the app, he's specific to the application process, the examples here and whatnot. He's pretty clear about what's in bounds and what's out of bounds. And then Ms. Caligari has the historical knowledge, and she's been very active in those meetings, as was mentioned, and she's a wealth of knowledge to be able to share where.
I just have an odd question too, just with this, you might know or Chris might know. When we're in Keewatin here and we get called, who calls the ambulance? 911 or who calls? Hibbing when they're in, say, how do they come when we're 5 miles away? That's why I'm just kind of curious.
Goes to-
When 911 gets called, dispatch automatically sends out the first responders and the ambulance is called. If the ambulance in Nashwauk is not available, they will call Giving or
Okay.
they will call, yes. So they know,
It goes
they
to
have
Itasca
like
County first.
yeah, they have like a whole CAD system in there where you walk in and they have who's out, how many rigs are available, who's out.
Transporting, da, da,
Yep.
da. Got it.
Exactly.
But I just wasn't sure how it went with, if they rotated the call, at Itasca County, Hibbing, Nashwauk, for
No.
Keewatin, because Keewatin is so centralized between the two.
It's
That was my
automatically,
question.
it's
911
automatically,
is here.
Yeah.
Okay.
it's Itasca.
And that's what I wasn't
Yeah.
sure, but I thought, I'd ask,
yeah.
just so I
Nashwauk
understood it.
and
Got it.
Nashwauk and us are automatically
On
dispatched
the
for a
911.
medical call in Keewatin.
Yes.
And I thought so, but I wasn't sure.
Yep.
Now I know for sure. Thank you.
So that puts us out a month from today for the next meeting, almost exactly. So if we wanna meet, I don't know, when everybody's available. Maybe we connect with this gentleman to first see
Yeah,
what days
see
he's
when he's-
available.
I mean, could we do it like before the next meeting or
That's
after
what I was
at the
thinking,
next
before the
meeting?
13th.
Or have the 5 o'clock meeting? Couldn't
That's
he
okay.
be
That's
at
okay.
our meeting, if that works?
Yeah, I mean, everything is just like.
Because I know,
Well, let's check and see if both
Yes.
Karen and him, Charles, could meet on the 13th, 4
Mhm.
o'clock before our next meeting.
why don't we just do it at 5?
Do it at 5.
You don't think you're gonna have more questions than in
An
a
hour?
regular meeting?
Well, we
I
know
mean,
what-
they're not-
We know what question we have to
Right.
answer before we leave, and that's, are we in or are we out?
Yeah.
So a lot of the questions that we're gonna have, and I'll be honest with you, I sat through that last ambulance meeting for 2 hours. A lot of the questions you can't answer until the board is formed.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those ones where you have full control over what that joint powers is gonna look like, and there is no, you have to do this. The first step is that application process, forming who's in, who's gonna have a seat at the table, and then everything else is up for negotiation. So, one of the things that they threw out last time is like, do we have reps from all the areas? Of course, there would be reps from all areas. Do you create an executive board where, there's 5 people on that board and everybody still has it? So there's a lot of things, and I guess where I'm just saying is like, information is key, and I want everybody, and my whole purpose is to bring information back to the council and make sure that everybody's well informed as best as we can be. But a lot of it is really, it's gonna be up in the air.
Do we need a
We could
motion
just
for
do
that?
start at 4:30, if that's easier.
Yeah, I think 4:30 would be good. And then
I'll make a motion to start the March 13th council meeting at 4:30 and to invite the
Charles?
Charles from
And
the
Karen.
MSR board and Karen Calgery,
And I'll
if they're available.
And I'll support.
Any further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Okay, 8.5, approve auditor CLA post-employment benefit liability. I'm not sure I know what that is.
Do you want
Mayor,
Okay.
Counselor Levine would like to explain this.
Okay, so we have to have an OPEB, start an OPEB liability, which hasn't begun in this city yet. So there's a couple options that the auditors have suggested. We can hire a firm, which would be $3,000 to implement the program. And then 900 the second year. Or we can have an adverse opinion in our audit for this year and then look at it because we are on the cash basis. So, and then we can look at it after that and determine how we want to proceed. Is that how?
That is correct. And she was okay because we didn't have this budgeted for this year.
Yeah.
That we could take that adverse position in the audit. But we're bringing it back to the council to,
For approval.
for approval.
I would like to say something on this. So this had been brought up several times too when Fort and Company had done the audit, and we had always opted to go with number 2 because nothing was set up for the retirement fund or whatever. Well, once again, we look at it, Chris is our oldest person, and he's not retiring in 5 years, or maybe he would like to, but it's not happening real soon is what I'm getting at. So, and like they said, it's $3,000, it wasn't even budgeted for. So I would like to go with the second option, and next year, maybe look at it a little bit more in depth, but we gotta.
Yeah.
So I'll make a motion to do the option 2 for our OPEB for 2024.
I'll support.
Further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. All right, 8.6, review MDH sanitary survey report for Keewatin Public Water System and approve purchase of injector pumps. Okay, we got one pump that's bad. I'm not sure, is it under the new tank? I think it's in there. Oh, okay, yeah.
Yep.
And one that's right behind it, so we need to replace them. Cost
And
is
what's the
quite-
cost?
Quite expensive.
Oh. Is it,
State law, you gotta put the chloride in, so.
are we looking at 1480 and 1950? Is that the?
Correct.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that 1480, that one was put in when I was in there, so it's lasted. I
Oh,
don't know
they're good for
why
about-
we would have to go up to the 1950 is all my thoughts are,
Yeah, okay,
you know?
yeah,
But I would also like to not just replace the other one. You know how they said to have one on standby? Because what if it doesn't fail?
yeah.
And then we have one sitting there that's obsolete by the time it does fail. Because they don't have to be changed.
Well, you could get one, I mean, it's not, I
Okay.
don't know anymore,
Well, that's why I'm a
you
little,
know what I'm saying?
yeah.
I don't know if you gotta wait a long time to get one.
Right, yeah, what's the lead time on getting it?
I know, that's what I was thinking. But then we get it and it could
After a
sit
month,
there.
you'd be.
Well,
behind.
why, it's saying they're both that old. So the older is 2015, what's the other one?
Well, it probably hasn't been changed, put in when the well was put in. The fluoride treatment, which would have been in '07.
So why
When did the
not?
well go in? The well was in '07, right?
It says 07.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
okay.
It says 07 and
Where are you
like
seeing that?
82. Well
Where are you
1,
reading this?
1982.
Mm.
And well 3, 2007.
What page
Yeah,
is
that
that?
makes both sense, about 2007.
So that's how long that one's been in there, is
Right.
all I'm saying.
Yeah.
They don't usually wear out super fast.
No, they're not,
Well, do we want to just buy two and replace them both then?
that's what I'm thinking. Just might as well do it.
At the 1,480 apiece.
Can I ask what the warranty is on this one? On the 1,480?
You can ask, but I don't know.
Oh.
Oh,
Well,
it
there's a
doesn't say.
5-year warranty on the other one, that's the only
Right.
reason I asked.
Mhm.
Because I would assume that that's part of the cost of what we're paying for is a 5-year warranty,
Yeah.
that's not.
Yeah.
included in it, but I don't know, I'm just saying.
Did the other ones have a warranty? Yeah.
I don't recall.
I've never seen trouble with them, they usually
That's
last
what I'm
10,
saying, it's
15
not,
years.
yeah.
Yeah, I've changed a few, the
Okay.
other pump pumps, never this new one.
And that's what I think this is.
They're
just-
originals, yeah.
Okay, well, I'll make a motion to purchase the S300 series Stenner at $1,480 a piece and replace both pumps.
I'll support.
Any further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
I did have one more thing on this, with some name changes though, and I had talked to Billy, she's gone. Because Robin's on here and Billy should be doing the, reports on these. Is my thought. Population is 968, it isn't 1068 anymore from the new, census. And I believe the drawdown is wrong on that too, Nikki, on well 3. It's page 204 or page 94, whatever. We don't have a 6-foot drawdown on well 3.
6 foot?
That's what it says.
No.
That's why I said I knew that was wrong. Something's not right there. So I said I was gonna ask you and I forgot until now. But,
Okay.
I think
I
we
can
should
bring
get
that to
those updates and get Chris Kaprivic off.
Just provided.
Oh, no, I see.
You know,
Yeah.
it needs to be brought up to date a little bit better.
I can follow up on that. Thank you for bringing that to our attention.
That's all I have. Thank you.
We need to get a motion on this?
We need to do that. Yeah.
Okay. Can we do it now? That's 8.8.
Oh, okay. You have 8.7.
And
Oh, here's this. We gotta add that.
You will.
we'll take care of this 8.7 first. 8.7, review OM&R invoice for joint sewer agreement.
I'll make a motion to authorize Attorney Lindsay to do the work on behalf of the city of Keewatin.
I'll support.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Motion carried. 8.7, review the OM&R invoice for joint sewer agreement. I've looked through it, and there's questionable things that I guess the only way you're gonna find out is when the clerk sit down and talk about it, I guess. You know.
Agreed.
I mean, I did review it.
And you understood it?
Yeah.
Okay. There's a lot of questions I have in it.
This one?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I checked their hours. Kind of looks like in October they were up there, but I mean, average is about 4 hours a day,
Mm-hmm.
which I get
They
that.
came down on their own
Yeah.
some.
It looks like they're, dividing things out. There shouldn't be a whole lot of purchases. I was looking at the RMB testing invoices. They seem to be okay. I guess I don't know exactly what needs to be tested, but I was gonna have someone review them with some knowledge and
Right.
get back
I
to
was
me on
thinking
that.
the same thing.
Okay. And then, I think those were the only questions. I think there was some like gloves and things like that, but it looks like they split that out. But then I couldn't find the bill, so I was kind of confused on that too, so.
Council, can I ask you to email me your questions that you have regarding these bills? And then when I set up the time with
Right.
clerk.
And I got a few questions on how they're coming up. How do they know which truck they have a specific truck they're using for the sewer jobs they do? You know, how do we know which truck they're using, where they're charging the gas to? I mean, there's some lights they put on. I'm assuming those went on one of the trucks. The other thing is the hours. Are we paying some of these are circled lead? So are we paying supervisor wages for the sewer operator?
So I guess I'd kind of like to know, they have employee hours and benefits. So I'm guessing they compiled the hourly rate, including the benefits. If you could clarify that.
I don't know if it's
I don't know.
or not.
I guess,
I
and
think-
then I think we could, she has a breakdown of the hours, but I think we need to have the rates. Or have we received that, do you know, before, their rate of pay?
No, or job
No, I
description
don't know that either.
Okay, so,
with benefits.
So we're all gonna email Beth a question.
Yes.
If you have it.
okay,
Yeah. I got a whole list, I'm sure.
Okay.
Okay.
So,
And then I'll set up the
That's good.
time to go over those with the clerk, and then we'll come back to the council with a report.
sounds good.
all right. Otherwise you can be here all night.
Yeah. And pretty much the whole dinner.
Any committee reports? Commission reports?
I have library.
Counselor Jefferson.
Okay.
You want the library report
Sure.
that I had last time? All right, here's a quick one. The library is, well, this was for the last council meeting, so I might be a little bit off, but April 3rd, they're having the adult teen calligraphy class from 3 to 4. The adult winter program is going through March 13th. They're getting ready for the summer program. They usually have almost 25 kids that participate in that. As everybody knows, or I think they do based on the last update, that Jewel Graves is now the president of the library board. Laura Owens resigned as of January 2024. And then Paula is getting, she said something about live birds in the park. I don't know, something about live birds in the park, so that's kind of fun for the summer in July. So they are, they're busy over there in that little library, which is good.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you. Anything else, Suzie?
I just have one thing too, I'd like us to check into, Isaac over at the housing in Grand Rapids, Isaac,
Utaska.
okay. Last time we had a meeting with him, he stated that the housing rehab money we could use. And so I would like to get that clarified to see if that savings, because everything's been paid up, and so if we have $30,000 sitting in there that the city can use, I would like us to check into it to see. He said we could use it, but we're gonna have to get the, right information. That's what I'm looking for, Beth.
Okay.
If you have time to take that whenever. That's all I have.
We should also maybe look into, so if we're thinking about housing, possibly for where the school is, when the school gets torn down, we're gonna have to do a new housing study. So we should probably be thinking about that as well.
The county is gonna be doing that through the HRA.
Well,
They're doing it in districts, so for example, it'll be like Keewatin, Lone Pine, Nashwauk, some of those areas, it'll be all encompassing, but really, if Nashwauk has a need, you're gonna have the same
right,
type of housing need.
right.
So, that'll be done here probably in the next 12 months.
I just know if we're thinking about a project, we're gonna need a housing study, so that'll be good. Okay, thank you.
Anything else? Casey, you have anything else?
Yeah, I do. So, the ARP funds have been redistributed through the 5 districts. So each district has $450,000 to work with all the communities, townships, whatever. Doesn't mean that I just get to hand it out. I still have to go back in front of the whole board for approval. So, knowing what projects you got going right now, you're being helped with the bathrooms. I know you're being helped with the pavilion and stuff. And, so from my understanding, the fire department needs help with the roof. So, I would suggest putting in an application. You can go online. I would say maybe go up to $50,000 to try to get seed to help get other funding with Sarah or however.
Nice.
So that's a big thing. Last week was down at the Capitol, spent the day, chased around, seeing legislators and everything. Big one was the mental health for the minors and adults. I mean, it's a lot of issues. EMS, going back to what you were talking, it's in there. All it's going to do is a Band-Aid for now. Out of, just say 250 ambulance services around the state, 100 and some are failing. And it goes back to a lot of it's the billing and different things. So it's a statewide problem, not just locally. I think that, and I'm going to be candid about this whole collaboration of the cities, be careful. Just, and our township's in it, we want to be a part of it, but there's just a lot of uneasy things that you guys have to do the deep dive, and I'm hoping that our township will have a discussion about this publicly with our annual meeting, and if I have to put it on our scenic group to get people to show up for it, but there's just a lot of things, and it goes down to the billing. I asked a question, I said, well, I've heard that the internet for the police department, the fire department, everybody's ran through the ambulance service. Well, that's not right. If all these things are filed through one thing, and then if you're showing $60,000 depreciation on equipment,
I think a major business doesn't probably have that much depreciation. So these are serious questions, and I'm not pointing fingers at them, but it's like, I get the fact that they're paying the bill for all of us. So, you know, is there a number that we should look at for a household? Maybe $60 a household per year? Is that high? I think that's more realistic, and if it can come down, great. But I, as a survivor of a heart attack, and that ambulance saved my life, and Karen was one of the people that did it, I will 100% support it, but we have to be careful. So, and the lawyers got to get involved to make sure everything is done right. And whether it's our county attorney gets in and helps, if all the different cities get in and help, I don't know. I don't know the answers to it, but it's a serious issue. And, you know, our small communities are not, they're getting older, they're not getting younger. And that's why this ambulance service, I think, speaks so much to everybody. So, again, I'm 100% behind it, but there's a lot of hard questions that got to be answered before we really make this whatever it is. So, and then going to some of your questions, there's going to have to be some type of administrator, and it's going to have to be hired. So that's going to be an extra cost. The ambulance license somehow or another has to get transferred to this group. How that works, you know, we all have to know and understand that. And then it's a full 11 group entity board that runs this thing, not the city of Nashua, not Keewatin, not, you know, that board makes that decision with 11 people that run that board.
And then you got the employees, and how are you gonna handle them? Are they gonna be Nashua, or are they gonna, how is, you know, the pay,
Well,
and there's a
that's
whole
another
lot of.
tough one
And how
because
much are they gonna charge?
they chose an odd number of 6, and I know it's an even number, but it's an odd number. When you're gonna work a rotation the way they run it, there should have been 8 people.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. So I'm not saying how they do that, but it might have to be dissolved and rehired. I don't know how that works.
So if you did that, if you dissolve and you rehire, can you do that based on our union?
I don't know that. That's
Questions, yeah.
with the union, it isn't, but if it's if the ambulance
clear.
service dissolves and it goes into some type of coalition or whatever it is,
Yeah.
they have to start over.
They talked about that last time about it, if it's the application transfer, it's different. If you do the application and it transfers, like you're mentioning, or if it's just a brand new entity, then that's gonna look different. But you don't know until you go through the application process. You have to start that process first.
Right.
And
It
so-
has to get approved by
I would be
ENSRB.
concerned as an employee of that situation because you don't know. They don't know. I think a lot of it is uneasy, but
Oh, it is.
I think that all these questions though, I mean, I think that's where people just have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable and just ask the questions because everybody has a right to know the answer. And you can't get mad about a question, you know, people can't get mad about.
No,
a question.
and that's what 2 meetings ago when I was there and asked about the financials.
Yeah,
I know they didn't like it, but it's like, hey, you're
Swing
who wants to buy into a business that's losing money?
Okay.
I mean, it's a no-brainer, so we have to all think about that as the people that are about to do this, so.
Yeah.
And then the only other thing right now, jail's coming along, still under budget, don't understand how, because the way everything is, knock on this, hopefully it's real good. And it's looking like early April for a start, there will be tours, I think everybody should see it before goes into business. They were talking about doing some overnight volunteers to test things, but we found out that that's not legal. Can't have it, so I was hoping to volunteer somebody like Sarah, lock her up for a night.
All right, we can raise some money.
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
Bail in jail.
yes.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Go ahead.
I don't know if you're gonna like it. Cleanup day. No money this year?
The way it sounds, I apparently missed that budget meeting because, yes, it sounds like they voted to not do it. So
Yeah.
I think that the tire debacle took way more money than they anticipated, so. And don't get me wrong,
I think it was a good thing, the tire thing was a great thing,
It was,
but it's,
Well,
the county got buried with it and it was a big cost.
yeah.
If it ever comes up again, I just want you to know that it was greatly, greatly appreciated by Keewatin, and our residents are so happy with it. And if there's any money at all in the future that you guys can squirrel away, we would be happy to do work. I would volunteer to get on the ground. I don't know how we would do it, but it just, you can't put a cash value on what that did for our community.
No, same with the townships, everybody, I mean,
Yeah.
they loved it.
Yeah.
So, you know.
But it was bigger than just getting your garbage. I mean, it was a lot bigger than that. So if it comes up again, I just think that it's a huge disappointment that that wouldn't be. And I know there's a lot of things. I know there's a lot of irons in the fire, but I just wanted to hit you
No,
with that.
that's fine.
It's a disappointment. But
Any questions from you guys?
I have one thing. I just
Okay,
want to
yeah.
say, thanks for the snow plowing and relay that to whoever over there in the county that they've been doing a great
Could have
job.
been an easier year for you.
Well, that too.
Yeah.
Well, in the beginning, knock on wood, it's gonna be over, but
Well, you may end up with a booth.
so
No,
that worked out good.
and the mayor's conveyed the same thing, that it's been really nice.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I did report it once back on it, so.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
thank you very much.
You do.
Okay, that's all I got.
Thank you.
I got one thing.
No, it's over.
We have a 4th of July meeting on March 6th at 5 PM here at City Hall. So if anybody would like to come and volunteer, we're taking anybody and everybody. And I have the raffle tickets, so I will be handing those out to everyone.
What
What's
time,
it?
March 6th?
5.
5?
I don't know, yeah, what are you handing them out?
I'm not telling you.
It can't be uncomplimenting.
No. So we got those done, so.
All right, I'll make a motion to be done.
Supported by.
Meeting adjourned.
Adjourned.